Okay, welcome in one and all. I'm now going to be reviewing all of Sunday's action in the NHL. There were 5 games on tap, starting with the teams you see on your screen. The Minnesota Wild went into Detroit to take on the Red Wings. Detroit would prevail in this one with a final score of 4-1. David Perron would kick things off with his 6th goal of the season on a power play from Raymond and Gothenburg, 4 minutes and 6 seconds into that frame. And Eriksson Ek would tie things up with 12 seconds to go in that period, getting his 10th goal of the season, assist by Kaprizov and Zuccarello. So it was all tied up at 1, heading into the second period. Oh, captain, my captain, Dylan Larkin would give the Detroit Red Wings the 2-1 lead and a game-winning goal at that point. His 8th goal of the season, assisted by Gothenburg. That goal would happen with just over 3 minutes to go in the frame, so it was 2-1 in favor of the Red Wings after 2. Perron would then get his 2nd goal of the game, 7th of the season, a power play goal, a minute 29 seconds into that frame, assisted by Gothenburg. Oh, wow. And Dylan Larkin. And speaking of Gothenburg, if I'm even pronouncing the name correctly, he would pretty much ice the game with 22 seconds to go. His 5th of the season from JT Compher and Rasmussen. So with the victory, the Red Wings are now sitting at... Oh, gosh. I forgot to write down the records. Hold on a second. With the victory, the Red Wings are now sitting at 11-6-3. That was the one team I forgot to write down. 11. Come on. 11-6-3. And with the loss, the Wild now find themselves 5 games below 500, sitting at 5-10-4. The big news coming out of Minnesota is they have fired their head coach and they have found a replacement only because I believe they've lost 7 straight games. And when it comes to the NHL, no coach is safe, especially when you're on a losing streak or you start off very, very slow. So our next matchup takes place in Chicago, where we have 2 teams from the Central Division who took the ice against one another. Let's load up the teams on the screen. It should be here, right there. Perfect. So the Blues would prevail in this one with a final score being 4-2. Neighbors would kick things off in the first, just 3 minutes and 21 seconds into the frame, getting his 6th goal of the season, an even strength goal from Buchnevich and Krug. Hayes would then increase the lead to 2-0, getting his 4th goal of the season, and that goal would happen 2 minutes and 6 seconds after Neighbors scored. When Hayes did pot the puck in the back of the net, Kyrou and Sad assisted on his goal. Donato would then decrease the lead to 2-1. With just over 5 minutes to go in that period, getting his 4th goal of the season, assisted by Phillips and Kaiser. Buchnevich would then get the game-winning goal with his 3rd goal, so his 8th goal of the season on the power play with just under 3 minutes to go in that frame, assisted by Thomas and Krug. So it's 3-1 heading into this second period. There were no goals to speak of in that second, so we have to jump all the way to the third, where Neighbors would get his 2nd goal of the game, his 7th of the season, from Buchnevich and Rob Thomas, and that goal would happen with just over 6 minutes to go in the period. Kachuk would get his 1st goal for the Blackhawks, assisted by Donato and Kaiser, and that goal would happen with 1 minute and 2 seconds to go in the frame. And at that point, it was too little too late for the Blackhawks to mount a comeback. So with the victory, the Blues have now improved to 11-8-1, and with the loss, the Blackhawks are now 7 games below 500, sitting at 6-13-0. Our next game takes place in Carolina. We have 2 teams from the Metropolitan Division who took to the ice. Okay, so you should see the teams on your screen. So the Hurricanes would prevail in this one, final score being 3-2. Marchenko would kick things off for the Columbus Blue Jackets just 13 seconds into that first period, assisted by Johnny Gaudreau. And speaking of Gaudreau, he would then get on the score sheet as well, his 3rd of the season, 6 minutes and 41 seconds into that frame. After that, it would be all Carolina. Kotkaniemi would get his 7th goal of the season, exactly 10 minutes and 1 second into that frame, assisted by Teravainen and Nietzsche. That was an even strength goal. Shea would then tie the game up with just over 3 minutes remaining in that period. An even strength goal from Sveshnikov and Jarvis. And speaking of Sveshnikov, he would get his first goal of the season. Hard to believe we're almost in December, and it took until late November for him to pot the back of the net. But it couldn't have come at a better time. Sebastian Aho and Jarvis would assist on his score. Sorry, I have to apologize. There were no goals in the first two periods, so all these goals came in the last frame. So that was my apologies on that one. So with the victory, the Hurricanes have now improved to 12-8-0. And with the loss, the Blue Jackets are sitting at the bottom of that Metropolitan Division at 7-12-4. Our next matchup takes place in Nashville, where we have two teams from the Central Division who took to the ice. I find that with NHL 24, it just takes forever to go through the teams, so please just bear with me. All right, here we go. So, Nashville would get the upset in this one, and I say it's an upset obviously because the Jets have a better record, but I will get to Nashville's record once I get to the end of the scoring summary. So 3-2 would be the final score in favor of the home team. In the first, Trennan would kick things off, just 20 seconds remaining in that frame. His fourth goal this season from Ryan Josi. It would take until, and then in the second period, Josi would then get on the score sheet, getting his fourth goal of the year from Sherwood and McDonough, a minute and 26 seconds into that frame. So he already had a goal and assist at that point, and then he'd end up with a goal and 2 assists as Nyquist would make the 3-0, getting his third goal of the year from Forsberg and Josi, and that was on a power play, 6 minutes and 22 seconds into that frame. So if I was a betting man, I didn't see the 3 stars, but I'd have to guess that Josi was probably one of the top 3 with a goal and 2 assists. In the third, Morrissey would finally get the Jets on the board, 10 minutes and 28 seconds into that frame. No assists on his score. Perfetti would then score with just over 30 seconds after that, getting his 7th goal of the season from Scheifele and Kyle Connor on a power play. But unfortunately, the Jets were not able to find the back of the net after Perfetti scored. So, despite the loss, the Jets are still 6 games above 500, 12-6-2, and Nashville have now evened up their record at 10-10. It's hard to believe that they were pretty much at the bottom of that division, and now they're hovering right around that wild card position. I know we're only 20 games into the season, but I did predict they would get into postseason, so we'll see how they do for the next 60 games. 62 games to be exact. All right, and the last matchup takes place in the Pacific, where we have, hold on a second, I believe it was the Anaheim Ducks and the Edmonton Oilers, and it sure was. So I'll get those teams' logos on the screen momentarily. Okay, so there we go. So the Oilers would get a massive win in this one, to say the least. 8-2 would be the final score. Jones would get his second and third goal respectively in this game, but he would start things off in the first 3 minutes and 32 seconds into that frame, assisted by Lisa and Vakanainen. Evander Kane would then tie the game up just a minute and 14 seconds after Jones opened the scoring, getting his 10th goal of the season from Connor Brown and Draisaitl. Jones, which I mentioned at the start, Max Jones, his third goal of the season, his second of the game, 6 minutes and 10 seconds into that frame from Silverberg and Mintyukov. Wow. Try saying that name 3 times fast. McDavid would then tie things up 9 minutes and 29 seconds into that frame, getting his 7th goal of the season from Hyman and Nurse. Nugent Hopkins would get the go-ahead goal, 3-2. His 5th goal of the season from Nurse and McDavid at the 12 minutes and 37 seconds into that frame. It would end up being the game-winning goal, and after that, it would be an onslaught of goals from the Oilers. Hyman would get his 11th goal this season with 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go in the frame from McDavid and Desharnais. So it's 4-2 in favor of the Oilers heading into the second period. Hamblin would get his 2nd career goal, 5-2 at that point. Ernie and Desharnais would be the assists on his goal 5 minutes into that frame. Zach Hyman would then get his 2nd goal of the game. Or was it? Yeah, 2nd goal of the game. Yep, sorry. His 12th of the season, assisted by McDavid, 7 minutes and 20 seconds into that second frame. An even strength goal at that. Jump all the way to the third, where Leon Draisaitl would then convert, getting his 9th goal of the season, making it 7-2 for McDavid and Bouchard on a power play, 7 minutes and 11 seconds into that frame. And Matthias Ekholm will get a power play goal of his own, his third of the season from Nurse and Evander Kane. So 8-2 is the final score from Edmonton. Even though they were victorious, they're still 5 games below 500, sitting at 7, 12, and 1. And with the loss, the Ducks are 3 games below 500, sitting at 9, 12, and 0. That's it. Take care of my recap for Sunday's action. I will have a video uploaded tomorrow for all of Monday's action in the NHL. As always, if you're new to this channel and you like this type of content, I do videos on the daily. Please feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and very appreciative as well. And as always, take care.